Welcome back to. What if I told you that one of the most interesting Lincoln pennies ever made could be sitting unnoticed in an old jar, a drawer, a coin collection, or even in your pocket change? It looks ordinary. It says 1 cent. It carries the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln. But the year 1982 changed everything. And today, on Hardest Penny, we're taking a close look at the 1982 Lincoln cent, a coin that became one of the most fascinating transition coins in American numismatic history. Before you throw one away as just another common penny, stop and look closely because 1982 was not a normal year. It was the year the United States Mint changed the penny from its traditional bronze composition to copper-plated zinc, and during that transition, multiple varieties were produced. In fact, collectors recognize 7 major regular issue varieties from 1982, making this single date much more exciting than its 1 cent face value suggests. 1982 Lincoln Penny, bronze large date. Let's begin with one of the bronze varieties. The 1982 Lincoln cent was struck during a major period of change for the United States Mint. For decades, Lincoln cents have been made primarily from copper alloys, but the rising cost of copper made the traditional composition increasingly expensive. The large date variety has larger-looking date digits, and the arrangement of the numbers provides important clues. When you compare a large date directly with a small date, you can see differences in the size, positioning, and shape of the numerals. These details may look tiny, but for collectors, tiny details can make a huge difference. And here is where the story becomes interesting. Simply finding a 1982 bronze penny does not automatically mean you have a rare fortune. Most examples are still common in circulated condition. The real excitement comes from identifying the exact variety, condition, color, and possible errors or die varieties. 1982 Lincoln Penny, bronze small date. Now we come to one of the varieties that gets collectors especially excited, the 1982 bronze small date. This coin combines 2 important characteristics from the transition year, the older bronze composition and the smaller date design. The key test is weight. If your 1982 small date weighs around 3.11 grams, you may be looking at the bronze version. If it weighs around 2.50 grams, you are looking at copper-plated zinc version. A precise digital scale capable of measuring to at least 1/100th of a gram can be extremely useful for this kind of identification. PGS notes that the 1982p bronze small date can be particularly difficult to find in high grades. In other words, the coin may not be rare in every condition, but finding a sharply struck, attractive example with excellent preservation is another story entirely. This is why coin collectors should never judge a penny only by its face value. A coin worth 1 cent in everyday spending can have a completely different importance to a collector when it represents a specific variety from a major change in U.S. coinage. 1982 Lincoln Penny, zinc large date. Next is the 1982 zinc large date. This is where the historic composition transition becomes even more obvious. Instead of the traditional bronze alloy, this version was made primarily from zinc and covered with a thin layer of copper. The zinc composition weighs approximately 2.50 grams. If you have 2 1982 pennies that look almost identical, but one weighs about 3.11 grams and the other about 2.50 grams, you're seeing the result of this major change in composition. The copper coating gives the zinc coin its familiar penny appearance, but damage can sometimes reveal the different metal underneath. You may see darker or grayish areas where the copper coating has been damaged or worn away. However, color alone should never be used as proof of composition. A proper weight test is much more reliable. This variety is part of the reason 1982 is such a favorite date for Lincoln cent hunters. You are not simply searching for one coin. You are searching for differences hidden inside the same year. 1982 Lincoln Penny, zinc small date. Now we reach another important variety, the 1982 zinc small date. This coin has the smaller date style and the newer copper-plated zinc composition. The coin weighs about 2.50 grams, and the small date can be identified by studying the shape and positioning of the digits. PCGS explains that on the small date, the tops of the date numerals line up more evenly, while the shape of the final two is also an important diagnostic feature. This variety is particularly interesting because high-grade examples can attract strong collector attention. PCGS records a $15,600 auction record for a 1982 Philadelphia zinc small date, graded MS69RD, showing just how dramatically condition can change the value of a modern-looking penny. But remember, an auction record is not the normal value of every example. A worn coin found in circulation can be worth only a small amount, while an exceptional certified coin can bring a much higher price. Condition is everything. 1982 de Lincoln Penny, bronze large date. Now let's move to Denver. If your 1982 Lincoln cent has a small D mint mark beneath the date, it was struck at the Denver Mint. The 1982 D cent has three major varieties: a bronze large date, a zinc large date, and a zinc small date. The bronze large date is the traditional composition member of this Denver group. At approximately 3.11 grams, it is noticeably heavier than the zinc varieties. That makes a scale your best friend when hunting these coins. The fascinating part is that the Denver Mint was also involved in the same composition transition. So even within the same year and the same mint, collectors can find coins representing different stages of the change. This is exactly what makes the 1982 Lincoln cent such a great searching coin. You can hold a penny in your hand that looks almost identical to another 1982 penny, yet internally they can be made from completely different materials. 1982 de Lincoln Penny zinc large date. The next variety is the 1982 D zinc large date. This coin has the Denver D mint mark, the large date style, and the lighter copper-plated zinc composition. The zinc version weighs approximately 2.50 grams. According to PCGS, the 1982 D cent was produced in three major varieties, with the bronze large date being the only Denver bronze variety among those three, while both the large date and small date were produced in zinc. For a beginning collector, this is an excellent example of why identification should happen in stages. First, check the year. Then check the mint mark. Next, examine the date style. Finally, check the weight and condition. That simple process can turn a handful of ordinary-looking pennies into an exciting treasure hunt. 1982 D Lincoln Penny, zinc small date. And now we reach the seventh major 1982 variety, the 1982 D zinc small date. This coin weighs approximately 2.50 grams and carries the Denver Mint mark. PCGS specifically identifies it as one of the seven major 1982 Lincoln cent varieties. High-grade examples can be scarce, particularly in extremely high mint state grades. There are also recognized die varieties associated with the 1982 zinc small date, including a double die reverse variety. That means collectors interested in 1982 can go even deeper than simply separating bronze from zinc or large date from small date. They can examine the coin for additional die characteristics. So if you find a 1982 D small date, don't immediately assume it is ordinary. Inspect it carefully under good lighting and, if necessary, use magnification. The most important lesson from the 1982 Lincoln Penny is that value does not come from the date alone. It can come from the combination of composition, variety, mint mark, condition, color, and unusual die characteristics. Before you sell one, clean one, or spin one, identify it first. Never polish a potentially collectible coin, because cleaning can permanently damage its surfaces and reduce its collector appeal. And remember, the 1982 Lincoln cent is not a dollar coin. It is a 1-cent coin, commonly called a penny. But its story is worth far more than its face value. 7 major regular issue varieties were produced during the transition, with 4 bronze varieties and 3 zinc varieties across Philadelphia and Denver issues. That is why the 1982 Lincoln Penny deserves a special place in the world of coin hunting. It represents a moment when American coinage changed composition, and that change created varieties that collectors still search for decades later. So the next time you see a 1982 Lincoln Penny, don't just see 1 cent turn it over in your hand. Look at the date. Check for the mint mark. Study the size of the numerals. Weigh the coin. Inspect its condition. And most importantly, never assume an ordinary-looking penny is automatically worthless. This is hardest penny, and the hunt continues, because sometimes the smallest coins can hide the biggest surprises.